Welcome, YouTube. This is G.I. Sanders with another episode here of NTX Live. It is currently Wednesday, October 5th, 1 o'clock Central Time. And I welcome you to a weekly installment I've started doing over the last few weeks where I will go through some announcements, some news, some stuff I've been thinking about, upcoming videos I am planning or have already shot, what I'm listening to, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you've seen the NTX Live show before, you know what it's all about. If you have not, welcome to any first-time viewers. I'm going to dive in here shortly, just waiting for a few people to trickle on. From a live perspective, the back half of this especially turns into a Q&A, which is always the most interesting part. So I've got a couple topics from a Q&A perspective that I'm interested to dive into and get some feedback. Most of those relate to upcoming videos, video ideas that I'm kicking around. So this kind of helps me talk them through and get some feedback in real time, which is always nice. So let's see. First things I want to talk about, I'll kind of give some teasers here while more people trickle on. Last week, or I should say just a couple days ago, Sunday night, went to the opening night of the Smashing Pumpkins and Jane's Addiction tour here in Dallas. So give a little bit of a recap on that, my thoughts on that show and that tour and those bands. I've got an announcement about the next monthly spin that I'm doing, which is a kind of a promotional giveaway type of thing that I do on a monthly basis, as you would expect. This week this month we've got 5 different box sets we're putting up for grabs, and there's going to be 3 winners. So that's going to be really cool. I'm talking about an upcoming event I've got this weekend, a pop-up record store event, and then got the latest release from my label, which nobody has seen yet. So I'm going to give a teaser on that, talk about upcoming releases that are dropping this week, which there are plenty, and heavy rotation as far as what I'm listening to. And then, like I mentioned, topics at the end in regards to videos. So let's kick it off by talking about, first of all, I see in the video, if you notice my albums up here are updated. That's because my son wanted to do a Halloween theme. So he's got purple and orange albums, which I think looks great. So we've got Monster by REM, Temple of the Dog. This is hard. We've got, it's hard to see, but that right there is a copy of Neil Young's Harvest, but it's like a Taiwanese bootleg. So it's a very orange cover, which is why he chose that. Grateful Dead, Anthems of the Sun, 9 Inch Nails, Broken, and Smashing Pumpkins, Gish. So there you go. That's the segue into Smashing Pumpkins. So Smashing Pumpkins and Jane's Addiction kicked off their, I guess, co-headlining tour. The opening date was in Dallas this past Sunday night. It was one of those where when it was announced, I'm like, oh, it sure would be great to see that. You never know how much longer these bands are going to tour. Have seen both of them many times in the past. Pumpkins, I saw the first time in 94, Lollapalooza 94. Jane's, I did not see until they were on their Strays tour. I didn't see them in the early days, unfortunately, but when they were touring for Strays, which I believe was around 2002, 2003, they were headlining Lollapalooza along with Audio Slave and Incubus and Queens of the Stone Age. That was a phenomenal show. So anyways, and then I've seen them once or twice since then as well. So I've seen both the bands plenty of times, but one of those nostalgia tours. My son, who I talk about a lot, Ben, who is starting to become a frequent flyer at a lot of the concerts I go to, which is super fun. He was really excited. He loves Smashing Pumpkins. And he likes Jane's Addiction too, but he's not as familiar with them. Jane's was great. Pretty stripped down set. I've got the set list in front of me. It was 11 songs and it was all hits. Started with Up the Beach. To play 3 days. Jane Says, Been Caught Stealing, Mountain Song, Ocean Size Stop. You know, you get the idea. It's not like they have a new album out there that they're promoting, but it was really cool to see Eric Avery back with the band on bass. Stephen Perkins is a monster as always. That was phenomenal to see. Unfortunately, Dave Navarro is not on the tour. He announced just prior to the tour that he has to bow out because he's still experiencing issues with COVID, which is crazy. They said it's like a year he's been dealing with what he called long COVID, which is really, really disheartening to hear because that's got to be terrible. But Troy Van Leeuwen filled in and did a phenomenal job. Troy is previously from Queens of the Stone Age, from A Perfect Circle. All in all, fantastic set from Janes. A lot of energy. You could tell Perry Farrell was very excited to be back in front of an audience. So it was super fun to see them again. And then Smashing Pumpkins came out, a much bigger production, way bigger light show, and backdrop as far as video is concerned. Pumpkins played through about 22 songs, a lot of newer stuff, some stuff I wasn't totally familiar with, but you got all the hits. You got Bullet with Butterfly Wings, Today, obviously, Cherub Rock, Zero, 1979. You got all those. The highlights were a couple things. They played Tonight acoustic with just Billy and James, which was really cool to hear. They played a Talking Heads cover, Once in a Lifetime, kind of a more obscure Talking Heads song. That was kind of cool. They played a song off of Melancholy called We Only Come Out at Night, which that's out of everything they played, there was no way I expected to hear that. So that was really fun. And then they also played Silverfuck off of Siamese Dream, the last track, which was a highlight. We skipped out on the tail end, so I missed Disarm and XYU, which I would have loved to have seen. But all in all, fantastic show. My son loved it. It was pretty theatrical and a lot going on. And Billy Corgan does what Billy Corgan's going to do, So it was fun. Definitely glad we went and glad we had the experience. Mainly just because, you don't know how much longer these bands are going to keep doing this, not in this fashion as far as arena rock is concerned. So always thankful that there are bands like Pumpkins and Janes out there still touring. So that's my little brief review on that show. Next up was a great show. Don't forget the dancers during Jane's edition. Yes, Eric, my son was quite wide-eyed during the session with the dancers. I told him just focus on the musicians. I will say we walked away from that show like I always do, and I asked my son what he thought, and he was spot on. He said, "Man, those drummers." And I said, "Yeah, like when you've got Jimmy Chamberlain and Stephen Perkins on stage, they both absolutely killed it. It was phenomenal. It was really just solid across the board, and glad he picked that out because it was definitely a highlight. I typically, when I'm watching a rock show, I'm mostly watching the drummers because it's just so amazing to see these guys, what they do, especially pros like those guys that are at the top of their game. As far as the alt rock genre is concerned, you're not going to get much better, not from a drumming perspective. So Matt says, can't wait to see the show in Cleveland at the end of the month. Have you checked out Billy Corgan's 33 podcast? He's releasing a new track every week from the upcoming Tomb album. I have not. I need to check into that. That sounds really cool. A cool way to promote the album. I do have pre-orders available for the new album. I haven't heard much of it yet, but yeah, I need to check that out and get in line with that. All right, so next up, I want to talk about really quickly a thing I'm doing called the Monthly Spin. I teased at the beginning. I'm going to put the link here in the chat if you guys want to check it out. I'm actually not launching it properly until tonight, but I guess that's a lie because I'm launching it right now. There's the Monthly Spin. Essentially, for $5, you can put your name in a hat, and this time around, we're going to draw 3 names randomly, and you get your choice. So I've got 5 different box sets that are going to be available. You've got the brand new Third Man Records edition of Dope Smoker by Sleep. That's all in colored vinyl. You've got Soundgarden Live at the Artist Den, also colored vinyl set. Both of those are 3/4 LP sets. You've got Stadium Arcadium by the Chili Peppers. You have got a really cool Pearl Jam live set, Live at the Gorge from 2005. That's a 3 LP on color. And then you've got the Neil Young Noise and Flowers. Still got this one, a couple of copies of this one. So this is a pretty cool offer, again, for $5. I think you can buy up to 5 slots if you want to increase your chances to win. Yeah, 5 slots per person. Maximum of 100 will be sold. I doubt we'll actually sell that many. You never really know. And then we'll do the drawing on Monday. We'll do the drawing live. I do the drawings live on Facebook, and then I'll kind of rebroadcast them over here if I can. So that's the monthly spin. Last month we gave away the Nirvana Nevermind 7 LP box set, which was a singular prize. So this time there's going to be 3 winners, which is even more fun. So 3 people will win. So put your name in the hat. You can hit that link that I just pasted there. And if you want to take a shot at that, if any of those box sets are your cup of tea. What's next on my list? Oh, I've got a cool event this Saturday night. If you're not local, obviously this doesn't necessarily apply, but it's still kind of a cool thing. There is an amazing bar about 20 minutes north of where I live and where our main Highland Village location is for NTX Vinyl. It's on the square in Denton, and Denton is a college town, if you don't know, where the University of North Texas is. The bar is called the Vinyl Lounge. It's just completely vinyl themed bar, which is amazing. Yes, Eric, you do get a choice of which one you want. Priority order. So if your name gets drawn first, you get to pick from the 5. If your name gets drawn second, then you've only got 4 to choose from, etc. So I'm doing an event at the Vinyl Lounge. It's an amazing bar, all vinyl theme, live DJ, awesome kind of craft cocktails and drinks and all this stuff. But they don't sell records because it's a bar, and that would be a little dicey as far as their nighttime crowd is concerned. I've talked to their owner about maybe doing something there more permanent, but I think the pop-up is the way to go. So I've done it there before. It's been really good. This is in conjunction with the Facebook group we do called Now Spinning. So it's kind of announced. We do a like a happy hour, if you will, for all of our local people who are part of the Now Spinning group. And then I'll have some records there for sale too. What's also cool is the Denton Jazz and Arts Festival, which is a free festival going on at the same time, which brings like many thousands of people to that area. So I'm hoping it'll be a cool event that night. I'm looking forward to it. And again, since I'm not physically at my shops, as you may know, this is a cool chance to get out to meet people. And typically a lot of people come hang out, friends and, people who I know through the Now Spinning group and through NTX. So Vinyl Joe says Smashing Pumpkins and Jane's Addiction in Austin today, but I'm skipping it to go to Roger Waters tomorrow. Yes, Roger Waters is in Dallas actually that same night. I think on this Saturday is when Roger Waters comes to Dallas. I'm going to be in Denton. Unfortunately, won't be able to catch that. But so I'm looking forward to the Vinyl Lounge pop up. If you're local, definitely check that out. And then last on my my quick announcements thing, I think it was last week or the week before, I previewed a new album that is coming out on our label, and I've already got another one. They are coming in fast. I guarantee you've probably never heard of this album unless you follow what I do. You might. This is Sandy Does Dallas. Obviously, you recognize the cover, but what this is a covers album of all of the songs, the complete track listing from the Grease soundtrack, featuring bands you may have heard of like Toadies, Course of Empire, Ugly Mustard, Baboon, Slow Roosevelt, Dusu, UFOFU, etc. These are all bands from the local scene. This originally came out, I believe, in like '93. I'd have to check that date. We did a really cool thing. We did an Obi strip on this one, so they're all they're all machine numbered with the Obi strip, the full track listing on the back, and you've got Travolta on the back, of course, with Sandra Dee on the front. This one is a double LP, and it is on opaque orange as well as opaque red. Super happy with how this one turned out. A very unique release on our label, the DFW Legacy Series, because it obviously is a compilation, and it's got artists like the Toadies on it, which are just a huge name. All of these bands coming from Dallas and our local scene. So if you're interested in picking up a copy of Sandy Does Dallas, only 200 of these exist. You can go to DFW Legacy Series right now and pre-order. We'll be shipping these out in the next 1 or 2 weeks, since we have them in hand now. So super excited about that. Very cool compilation that we've been working on for a while. As you would imagine, it takes a lot of legwork to get permission from all those different artists, especially artists that aren't active anymore. You got to chase them down. So really excited about that. Upcoming releases this week. Actually, it's a big week for a lot of reissues are what caught my eye. So you've got Remain in Light by Talking Heads, Joni Mitchell's Blue, The Cars, Candy O, Blood Money by Tom Waits, Grave Dancers Union by Soul Asylum, all reissues. Most of those are on colored vinyl that are coming out. I think Joni Mitchell Blue is the only one that's not. So a lot of cool reissues, stuff that albums that some of these like the Cars and to some extent maybe Talking Heads are still readily available from a pre-owned standpoint. But Joni Mitchell's Blue is a hard record to find pre-owned, especially in good condition. Same with Tom Waits. Soul Asylum, Grave Dancers Union has been repressed a lot from Music on Vinyl. The one that's coming out is a special colored vinyl edition, though. So a lot of reissues. I'll have a variety of those in stock. I've got them in stock online now, and then we'll have them in my shop. So I wanted to talk through that. And let's see. Heavy rotation stuff. So I've got a few things. First of all, I've got a book in heavy rotation. Not that you want to hear me talk about Pearl Jam more, but I'm making my way through this, which is Long Road, a book about Pearl Jam. There's a lot of books out there about Pearl Jam. I'm already halfway through this. It's a very short read. I'm already halfway through it. It's been about 3 days. The cool thing about this book is it's written by a guy who's a fan, music critic, and I'm pretty sure he's the exact same age as me because everything he references in regards to how old he is and what was happening at the time. So if you're a kid of the 90s, if you grew up, you're high school age between 90 and 95, or college age could fit too. This is a fantastic read, and it's spot on, and it goes through the arc of their career. And he picks out a song for each chapter and kind of maps that period of the band's career with that song and what it means, and talks a lot about live performances from the era. So really cool book. So I had to put that in high rotation because I'm pretty much reading it anytime I'm talking about or anytime I'm listening to records, I start picking it up. So Vinyl Joe says Pussifer is putting out a reimagining of one of their older records. Yes, I believe that is only a Revolver exclusive, though, which is why I didn't even mention it because I completely forgot about it. So I think you have to go to Revolver to get that. I could be wrong. Let me see. I see Existential Reckoning is available. Yeah, that I think it's not V is for vagina, but it's one of the. It's similar to that, and yeah, it's only a Revolver exclusive, so I didn't have access to it. Other stuff I've been listening to. I mentioned Course of Empire before. If I don't know if anyone's familiar with Course of Empire, but fantastic band from the '90s. This is their only full LP that is currently available on vinyl. It just came out. I've been working with the band. This is not out on my label, but very friendly with the band. And this is an awesome release. It's one of their very early live performances, and all proceeds are going to benefit their drummer who fell on some, had an accident a couple years ago and is struggling to get back on his feet. So this is limited to 300 copies. If you want to purchase this, I'll find a link really quickly. It's not something I'm selling yet. I'm hoping to get some of them. Bandware, Course of Empire. It is available direct from the band, and I believe you can get it right here. I want to find the correct link for you. Yes, it is still available. It's $30. So if you're a Course of Empire fan, definitely check it out. Yeah, Eric. Slow Roosevelt. Eric asked, does Slow Roosevelt do a Grease song? Yes, they do the best Grease song. They do Grease Lightning. So yeah, if you're into Slow Road, definitely check out Sandy Does Dallas. And Course of Empire is on here doing Blue Moon, which is really cool. Let's see, other stuff I've been listening to. Promise of the Real and Lucas Nelson. This is one that came back in stock recently. It's fantastic Americana alt country record from Willie's son, of course. Beautiful album. I'm glad to have that in my collection. I've been spinning that just about once a day. Brandy Carlisle's In These Silent Days, still one of my favorite albums of the last couple of years. This one has come to mind because she's doing speaking of reimagined albums, she's reimagining this one in acoustic form. It's coming out as in These Silent Days, In the Canyon Haze is the deluxe version where it's going to come with the album. The original album as well as the acoustic version. She just did a live IMAX thing too, which was really cool, where she performed it in Laurel Canyon. So I'm looking forward to that. So I've been listening to the original pretty obsessively. I love that record. And then lastly, unfortunately, we lost a country music legend yesterday, and that was the great Loretta Lynn. I pulled this one out yesterday to listen to it. with her being top of mind. This is a fantastic record, produced by Jack White and featuring a duet with Jack White as well. There he is on the back. Really cool album. This was a Third Man Records Vault record that came out in 2015, produced by Jack, like I mentioned. And that'll segue me into video topics. So, a couple videos that I've got in the works. If you guys like a sneak peek, I am going to do a video soon on my Third Man collection, and I was already thinking about it before that Loretta Lynn popped into rotation because of her passing. But I've got a ton of Third Man stuff. I've got 7 inches. I've got a ton of the Vault series. I don't have all of them, and of course I've got a ton of just standard LPs that I've collected over the years. So I'm going to do a recap, kind of a deep dive into my Third Man collection, which I think will be really fun. So that is on the horizon. Look out for that over the next few days. The other video, let's see, 2 other videos I'm working on, and then one that I want to get into some discussion around if anyone's open for some Q&A. One video I think will be interesting is albums or artists that I need to explore more. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of records up here, obviously, and some of them are in complete discographies of specific artists that I really love, or at least, very robust discographies. But there's also outliers where it's like, I've got one record by this band, or one record by this band, or one record from this songwriter or artist. And it's not any fault of my own. There's only so much music you can consume. So I've usually, I may only have one record, and it's like, man, I love this album. I sure would love to know which ones to go to next. Like, a lot of times there's a gateway album, and I thought that would make an interesting video, mainly because I think you people can tell me where to go next on these specific albums where I've only got like maybe 1 or 2, and they have a much bigger discography. This could be older artists, back to the 60s, 70s, up to current day, of ones that I've just only checked out, kind of the tip of the iceberg. So I thought that would be a cool video if I go through my collection and pull out kind of odd LPs where I've only got a singular record from an individual artist. So I'm going to think on that one and curate a list and try and go through my collection. I think that'll be a fun one, just because I think it'll send me off onto some new music from some artists I already like. Another video I'm working on, 5 ways the hobby of vinyl record collecting has evolved. This is a cool one, because honestly, in the last 2 to 3 years especially, but even in the last year, it's evolved so much. Things are changing so fast. And I often see comments and dialogue and discussion online from people who have been collecting for many, many years, like myself, who basically have the sentiment of, oh, I hate what's happening to this hobby. I hate how expensive it's gotten. I hate how you have to wait in line to get records if you want them. I hate how, there's 20 different colors of records. Like, there's all this negativity around the way it's evolved, right? And I get it. A little bit of that is a get off my lawn sentiment, which I'm cool with. I've been collecting for a long time too, and I don't necessarily like everything that's happened. But I think the discussion is basically, hey, the vinyl record industry as we know it now is a completely new thing. It's not going to replicate what it used to be in the mid 70s or the mid 80s, for that matter, when vinyl was the primary format. This is a niche industry now, and it is full of niche collectors or hobbyists like ourselves. And I think a lot of it just has to do with acceptance. You just have to accept that this is the new way forward. Like, it's not going to change. It'll change subtly here or there, but I think there's definitely a good discussion around how it's evolved and what's evolved positively, what's maybe evolved negatively from the point of view of people who did see the before. And that's the big thing here, is there's so many people who have started collecting who didn't know the before. They didn't collect records pre-COVID. They started mid-COVID, and they only know what it is currently. And so to them, it's normal, right? And I think it's a harder pill to swallow for people, a lot of people like myself and maybe you, who've collected prior to what's happened in the last couple of years. So that's a video I've been stewing on for a while, and I think I'm getting close to maybe shooting that one. So I think that's interesting. The last video, which I have already shot, and which I think is a pretty cool debate, that'll air. I think it'll probably maybe tomorrow or Friday. I'll drop it as soon as I get a chance to edit it. Yes, I edit all these things myself. Music fan versus record collector. This is an interesting one, and it's a fascinating topic. A lot of times you don't even think about things in these terms, but there's definitely a big difference in the way people collect records. And I'll say this in the video. I already shot it, but so this is very much a teaser. But people buy records for a lot of different reasons, and it's been very interesting for me over the past couple of years as I've turned from just a record collector or a music fan, if you will, or a combination of those two, into I've gone on to the business side of things, and I've seen all the different reasons why people buy records, and it's been pretty fascinating. And you would think it's cut and dry, and it's not at all. There's a lot of people who legitimately only buy records just because they enjoy the music, and that's it, period. They don't care about the version, they don't care about the year. Of course they want it to sound good, they want a good quality product at a decent price. Of course, those are table stakes. But it kind of stops there. Like they love the music, they love the artist, and that's it. Those are music fans, and those are people who buy records because solely because of the music, and it really stops there. Then you have the other side of the paradigm, which is the record collector, if you will, and someone who may not even like the music, but they know it's rare or it's an oddity, and they'll buy it anyways, even though they may never listen to it. They'll hold it on their shelves for years and never spin it. Or maybe they have 10 different copies because they want the Japanese and the German and the UK and the US and the different colors within those. Again, a completely different mindset in regards to how that person collects versus how a music fan buys. You could call them, they're both collecting, I guess. But I thought it was a fascinating topic, and I was excited to shoot that one. So that one is coming on the horizon, and I'm hoping everyone enjoys that. So that's what I had to go over today. Definitely abbreviated version of NTX Live. I would like to open it up to Q&A. Vinyl Joe says, interesting. I'm both. Love the music. Want to hear it on vinyl, record, audio file quality, and a bit of a collector. Absolutely, Joe. So in the video, you'll see that I have very much. I am definitely both as well. I think most people are both. It's really about which direction do you sway more to, and over time, has your collecting changed and evolved? I know for me personally, and I say this in the video, like I used to be way more just music fan. And then as I've gotten into this hobby, the deeper and deeper you get, you become more of a quote unquote collector, if you will. A lot of that comes with volume, of course, and accessibility, which is important, and just how much you want to commit to it. But yeah, so it's like, what percentage are you of music fan versus collector? I think in the video I said I'm probably like 75% music fan, maybe 25% collector. But if I go back probably 5 or especially 10 years, I was probably 90% music fan and 10% collector. So it's definitely kind of swayed a little bit, but I'm not close to 50-50. I'm very much still in it for the music. So all right. Jason asks, can you create thank you for a question, Jason. So this is Q&A. I've got a few more minutes, y'all. If you have any questions for me about NTX Vinyl, about the business, about the industry, about my collection, I'm all ears. We can do a little ask me anything right here. So fire them off if you're curious about what I do, who I am, anything and everything goes. By all means, start firing off questions, and we'll hang for a few minutes and do this. There's good amount of people on live here, so I'd love to do the Q&A when there are some people with questions. First question, Jason asks, can you create an electronica genre on your NTX website? Yes, we can do that. I'm going to make a note of that right now, Jason, because I don't want to forget. That is absolutely one of the things we can do. Electronic genre on website. Yeah, so we're starting, and it's a process. You have to keep it updated, but we do regular work on our website, NTX. Not just myself, but I got a couple buddies who work with me who help me keep the website up to date, refreshed. Evolving and creating genre specific pages. Like we've done hip hop recently. I need to do a jazz one too. So I will get that on the list, Jason. That's a great idea. Adam asks, what's up, Adam? Of those 6 records your son put up on the wall, if you could only keep 5, which one would you boot? Oh, that's hard. Okay, that actually is not hard. Out of all those albums, I can tell you the one I like the least personally is definitely the Grateful Dead record. Not because I don't love the Grateful Dead, but that's probably the least listened to Grateful Dead album of their entire catalog for me. Their first two studio albums, honestly, there's some still some good tracks on there. Don't get me wrong, but as far as holistically, so Gish, I forgot to mention, my son was super disappointed that Smashing Pumpkins didn't pay anything from Gish. Gish is his favorite record. He likes it more than Siamese Dream. He loves Gish, and they didn't play anything from it, so he was disappointed in that. And I should have tipped him off. I didn't know the set list because it was the opening show of the tour, but I would have known that they probably would have not played anything. They, maybe they would pull out I Am One or something, or Siva. But anyways, then you got Nine Inch Nails Broken. Huge fan of that record. Neil Young Harvest, one of the greatest records ever. Temple of the Dog, 90s classic. REM Monster, one of my favorite REM records. So great question. Thank you, Adam. You're welcome, Jason. Vinyl Joe, any idea when will we get a repress of Tools, Inema, and a press of 10,000 Days? Your guess is as good as mine, Vinyl Joe. It's mind-boggling. I have no idea. Like, why in the world would they spend the time, the money, the effort, and everything they put into Fear Inoculum, which is a fantastic record, but it's came out in box set form, and now we have the standard 3 LP, and they're both fabulous pressings. They both sound phenomenal. So obviously they know people want records. They see how many people are buying those. They know the demand is there. The answer to the question, I believe, is tied up in lawsuits, and this has been documented and discussed from Tool's point of view. That I don't know what the issue is in regards to if they have the rights or if they don't, but that's, I believe, why there are no pressings of Inema in 10,000 Days other than unofficial bootlegs. So I'm waiting right along with you. I would love to see it happen. Thank you for the question. Tyler asks, I'm new to vinyl. I have a record player, but it doesn't sound good. Which record player should I get under $500? Great question. There are a couple companies to look at, Tyler. Jot these down. Fluence is a great company to look at that manufactures really nice kind of modern turntables, if you will, modern in design. And I believe they have price points under 500. U-Turn is another company. So Fluence, U-Turn, and then I have to throw in Project, which is the company that manufactures turntables that I've had for many years. I'm on my second Project now. My first one I had for about 15 years and never had an issue with it. And all of those companies, I believe, have price points that are less than $500. There's also Audio Technica, produces some manufactures some pretty nice turntables in the $200-300 range. So take a look at those. Fluence, U-Turn, Project, and then maybe Audio Technica as well. If you've got a budget of around 500 or somewhere around there, you can definitely get in the game. There's also the vintage route. A lot of people will tell you to buy vintage gear. You can look on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and all the different types of marketplaces where vintage gear pops up. Of course, you're rolling the dice a little bit there in regards to the quality of the product you're getting in regards to functionality. So those are the two routes I would go. I'd look at those certain brands and then take a peek and see if you can find something vintage too, because you might be able to. Thank you for the question, Tyler. Jason says, yes, Audio Technica is good, but the stylus needle, yeah. So good point, Jason. Not only is it the turntable, the stylus will be very important, as well as the preamp and the amp and the speakers. It's a whole thing, but you got to start somewhere. So start with a good turntable, get a decent cartridge at least, and I think that will go a long way. Let us know what you're coming from, Tyler, in regards to your player. If you have like a suitcase player or something now that's an all-in-one with the speakers, it is going to be a massive leap forward just to get to a standalone player with standalone, let's say, bookshelf speakers or something. That'll do a world of difference. There you go. Vinyl Joe recommends the Fluence and an Orderphone Blue. I think that would be a fantastic combination. The Orderphone Blue is what I'm running on my project. Vinyl Joe, thank you very much. I really appreciate your looks like you tipped me. Is that a thing? That's really freaking cool. I don't know. $4.99. I'm in. Crosley, yes. If you've got a Tyler Crosley, Tyler, then going to a Fluence or a U-Turn or Project or an Audio Technica, in that you could probably stay in the $300-400 range, but then keep in mind you got to get some speakers too. A preamp will probably do a World of Wonders as well. So do some research there. And if you have any more questions, by all means, reach out. You can always get me. info@ntxvinyl.com is where you can contact me. Yeah, huge sound difference. All right. Albert asked, "Hello, GI. Were you able to catch the Pearl Jam concert in OKC?" I absolutely was, Albert. I was at the Oklahoma City Pearl Jam concert. I was also in Denver 2 nights later for the last show of the tour, and they were absolutely fantastic. And I'm absolutely going through tour withdrawals because it was such a teaser, and now Pearl Jam unfortunately isn't playing anymore. So have to wait until they reboot the system and start touring again someday. So no problem, Tyler. Great question. Matt asks, any modern jazz artist records you would recommend? Been listening to Miles and Coltrane lately, but want to explore current artists. Man, that's a good question. I don't listen to any modern jazz either. Um, if I'm listening to jazz, man, I'm going back to the classics. I'm going back to the mid to late 50s, early 60s stuff. And starting with those artists you mentioned, I am certain there are modern day jazz recordings out there that are probably spectacular, just like any genre of music. I think that's just not something I've really seeked out. I will say when I was in New York just a couple months back, I'm trying to think when it was. About a month ago, month and a half, I was in New York to see Rage Against the Machine at Madison Square Garden, which was phenomenal. And we went to the Village Vanguard, which is one of the most iconic, famous jazz clubs in New York and maybe in the world. In fact, Coltrane's recorded records there. Miles probably has too, but it was fantastic. And there were some modern jazz musicians there. Now they were paying homage and playing a lot of cover tunes by Thelonious Monk and like Ornette Coleman and stuff like that. But it was fantastic, and they were young dudes up there, or young dudes. They were middle-aged dudes, I guess. Young compared to jazz, guys who've been around for a long, long time. But it was fantastic. So I don't know if there are any modern jazz albums, artists out there. I would love to hear about them. That's definitely definitely something I'd check out. Thank you for the question, Matt. Final Joe asks, thoughts on the new Iron Maiden Number of the Beast 3 LP upcoming release? That's a good question. I saw that was announced, and I had a couple people pre-order it. Let me take a look at what that is. 1 second, I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Where is it? I saw that it was a 3 LP. I'm just trying to look on the specifics to see if it was just an expanded. All right, here we go. So 3 LP limited edition, 180 gram deluxe anniversary. Oh my gosh. So here's what it says. 3 LP set celebrating the 40th anniversary of Number of the Beast. Features the full album plus never before on vinyl, the Beast over Hammersmith album, which was recorded live days before the original release. That's really cool. So yeah, this looks pretty legit. I did not know about it because there's so many new releases that come out. But when a couple people pre-ordered it from me, I was like, oh, cool. That's a cool new, it looks like it comes out November 18th. So about a month from now. Here's the link if anyone's interested. Yeah, that third disc is the live show, is what it says here. So really cool. I'm not a huge Maiden fan, but I really appreciate what they do. Kind of Maiden and Kiss. I in my mind, at least, I put them together not because they're similar musically, but because the brands that they have built and because how much of the visual aesthetic is a part of what they do because of the artwork and just everything they do. Really, really appreciate how they bring everything to the table and keep it consistent. Their whole career has just been amazing like that. So I'm pretty sure that'll be a big one. Richard says you're going tonight. What are you going to tonight? You talking about Maiden, Richard? Let me know. Let's see. Nick asked, did Eddie go on any rants at either of the shows you attended? Been listening to Sirius a lot, and it seems hold on, it held your comment or something. Seems every two, and then Pumpkins tonight. Yes, Pumpkin and James. Richard, enjoy. Let me know what you think of the show. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, man. To answer your question, Nick, did Eddie go on any rants? Yes, he's Eddie. That's what he does. The most memorable one was in Oklahoma City because Pearl Jam did not play Texas. They probably will never play Texas again, if I had to guess, because of their reasons, which I completely understand. So he went on a rant about there was a semi truck. It was I won't go into the details, but essentially it was a rant about the politics behind the abortion laws that are happening in Texas. And since Oklahoma City is so close to Texas, he had a rant in regards to that. That was very entertaining and pointed. So yes, Eddie's always got rants. He also had a couple in Denver, less political and more kind of insightful, I guess you could say, because it was the last show of the tour. So he was kind of in that mindset. Jason asks, have you checked out Whatnot? They have live vinyl auction every day. Thank you, Jason. Yes, the good folks over at Whatnot are doing everything they can to build up their vinyl, what do you call it? Their vinyl bench of sellers. Yeah, there's always a lengthy rant, Nick. So Whatnot, yes, I'm very familiar with Whatnot. I would love to hear your experience with Whatnot from a buyer's point of view. Because all I've seen, and I'll be honest with you, all I've seen is buyers getting away with really great deals on Whatnot. And the reason for that, at least from my point of view, my very small sample size, is I did check into Whatnot because Whatnot approached me a month or two ago and was interested in getting me on board as a seller because they've got some very legitimate, great sellers on that are using Whatnot now, or at least trying it out. For one, the format seemed very fast. I'm talking like I saw dudes selling records and the auctions lasted 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I think you can go up to 30 or 60 seconds, which still seems crazy fast for me. But what I saw is records. I saw a whole lot of junk records being sold, but I know that that's probably changed because they have legitimate sellers on there now. And then I saw a whole bunch of records selling for way below market value, which is great for the buyer. Buyer's getting some deals. Horrible for the seller because the last thing I want to do is spend a bunch of time organizing and curating and then promoting and doing a live auction. And then I don't even break even on the records I'm selling. That's a horrible business model. That's why I haven't done it yet. I'm not saying that's what everyone's doing. I'm sure there are some people out there making bank. And I'm not even in it to make bank necessarily all the time. I'd love to just break even and make a little profit so I can stay in business. But so that's my take on Whatnot. I am watching it. A lot of people have asked me about it because it is getting a lot of attention in the vinyl community. And I think it's an interesting format. I just haven't quite decided if it's one for me yet. So I'm contemplating it and will continue to. I'm sure at some point I'll try it out. I just haven't gotten to that stage yet. So Vinyl Joe says, glad he is still alive. Talking about Eddie Vedder. Sucks losing Chester, Kurt, Lane, Chris. Yeah, the list goes on. Lanigan, like you could go long with that list. Nick asked, what are your thoughts on the price of the upcoming Use Your Illusion box set? My thoughts on it? Well, Guns N' Roses, the top tier name, one of the biggest, if not the biggest names. The Use Your Illusion Super Deluxe 12 LP box set is retailing for $500. But keep in mind that the Appetite for Destruction box set they put out years ago, which was even bigger and badder, retailed for $1,000. So, hey, it's half as much as the Appetite one, and Use Your Illusion's a much longer album. So sounds like you're getting a deal, right? I don't know, man. Box sets are freaking crazy. I'm a sucker for them too. $500 for a box set's a lot. You got to really be a big GNR fan, and I guarantee you they're out there and they're going to snap it up and it'll be collectible. And in a couple of years, it'll be worth over $1,000 easy because they're not going to press that many of them. Would be my gut, but that's kind of the way that things go these days with these legacy artists. You've got their labels going back and producing these grand things, which I'm not talking down on it. I think it's an amazing thing if there's enough demand for it, which for artists like Guns N' Roses there is. Then I say go for it. So I do have a box set on the way. It just reminded me, I've got the new Wilco Yankee Foxtrot Hotel box set on the way. I ordered one of those for myself and I'm very excited to unpack that. It was not a $500 box set, but it was, I think it was $200. And it's got a whole bunch of demos and outtakes and stuff I'm really excited to hear. So, yes, I agree with you in regards to Whatnot, Jason, about it maturing. I'm sure it will, just like all marketplaces and all concepts. It'll get better and better. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for, I guess. I don't want to necessarily be a guinea pig, even though that's what they would like. But again, there's lots of great sellers selling there now. So Lance asked, he's talking to Matt. There you go. Sonny Rollins, Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock, Wes Montgomery, Grant Green. Yes, all great jazz artists, Lance, but I think he was asking about modern. I'm sure there are modern pressings, not modern artists. So it depends on how you take the question. But on the jazz, assuming you mean since 2000, Branford Marsalis Quartet. Yeah. Thousand Autumns was around 2000. Have anything better. Awesome. All right, y'all. Any more questions? Again, I've got about 15 more minutes before I need to bounce to my next task for the day. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Final Joe asks, is it me or is the new Dirt re-release cut almost too hot? Had a bit of ear fatigue blasting it last night. I don't know. Maybe you had it up too hot, man. Had it up too loud. You have it on headphones? I haven't had that issue, but I haven't played it on headphones. I've had it on, just played it on my system, and it has sounded great to me. I did yesterday or the day before yesterday, I went for a run and I couldn't think of anything to listen to with my earpods, and I played Dirt. But the new remaster, they have the new remaster up on streaming as well. It says 2022 remaster. I thought it sounded great on my headphones and didn't feel too hot to me then. So no, it's interesting. I mean, it's hard. It's everyone's system's different. Everyone's table's different. Everyone's ears are different. So I believe you that it could have sounded too hot. It sounded great to me. I've gotten some flack for saying that new reissue sounds great because apparently there's two different pressings. I think we talked about this last week, the week before. There was two different plants that pressed it because it was in such hot demand. I guess it wasn't all pressed in one place. There's I think a United one, and then there's one from MPO, which is another plant, I guess, or another set of lacquers, I guess. And there's audible difference between those two, but it's not uniform across the board because some people are saying my copy sounds great, and I've got the one that everyone's saying sucks. So it's hard, man. Not every record's created the same. I say it all the time. So yeah, it's in the dead wax. So look up if you see MPO or if you see, I think, UP for United Pressing, see which version you have. Maybe that has something to do with the issue you were speaking of. So, all right, folks, unless you've got any other questions, I'm going to wind down this episode of NTX Live. Coming up next week, I've got a pre-order launching for these tees. I've had so many people ask me about these. So I've got reissues or reprints coming of the Grateful Dead design and also of my Pearl Jam design. So I'm excited about that. Lance chimes in. Given the way Earthling sounded and seeing Vedder the other night, do you think he wants to leave Pearl Jam, or can Pearl Jam really come together again to make a really great record? I have no thoughts on why Eddie Vedder would want to leave Pearl Jam. Like he's put out solo records before. I don't think that's even a topic, honestly. Would be my opinion. I'm totally guessing. I think he loves playing with the Earthlings because it's fun. Just like every member of Pearl Jam, literally every single one has their own solo projects and their own side projects. So it's just what they do. They've talked about it before. I think they'll all go away. They'll spend the next 18 months or so playing with some other guys and getting in, getting their feet wet with some different music, and then they'll come back and reconvene. I think they've said they've already written or recorded, half a new record already over COVID, but I'm sure they'll reboot it and do it for real. So I have no reason to think Pearl Jam will not continue as a band, especially after that tour that was just so well received. So thanks for the question though, Lance. All right, folks, I'm going to wind it down. Thank you all. As always, another episode of NTX Live. We will see you again next time. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions for me, you want to get in touch, info@ntxvinyl.com is where you can get me. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, Lance. And we'll see you guys again next time.